Welcome to another edition of Our City. I hope everyone's navigating the malls and shopping districts and getting ready for Santa as we are now in the middle of December. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Tuesday, December 9th at 4 o'clock, I'm going to attend a ribbon cutting and open house for Bridgeway, which is located at 567 Morris Avenue. They deal with some members of our community that are challenged, and they do an excellent job. On Wednesday, December 10th at 6 o'clock, I'm going to join the councilman of the First Ward, Councilman Carlos Torres, and residents of that community in a tree lighting located at the Front Street soccer fields. This event will feature holiday music, light refreshments, and of course, a visit from Santa. On Thursday, December 11th at 6 o'clock, I'm joined the councilman from the Fourth Ward, Carlos Cedeno, who will have a tree lighting. This event will be at the L. Ron Hubbard Park, located on Salem Avenue in the city. And on Friday, December 12th at 12 o'clock, I'll attend the 20th anniversary of the Trinitas Paramedics will be held at the Core Building on Elizabeth Avenue. On Saturday, December 13th at 9 o'clock in the morning, at-large Councilwoman Patricia Perkins Augusti and members of the community will hold a children's holiday party and toy giveaway. It's located at the AMC Lowe's Theater over at Jersey Gardens at 651 Kapkowski Road. This family-friendly event features a free holiday movie and toy giveaway. Pre-registration is a must for this event. It is required. So for more information to register, please call the City of Elizabeth Office of Youth, 820-4051. And if you need any more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 820-4124. Now, this week's show, I'm pleased to be joined in a few moments after the break by the Reverend John Howard of Siloam Hope Presbyterian Church, Mr. Armando D'Erico, the President of New Jersey Community Development Group and LLC, and Mr. Wayne Richardson, who is President of Local 55 in the Laborers. So please stay with us after these messages.
Where will the next generation of scientists come from? Right here. Kean University.
Welcome back to Our City, where I'm pleased to be joined by the Reverend Howard, Mr. D'Erico, and Mr. Richardson. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
first of all, the project, we're going to have a ribbon cutting and a grand opening very soon.
Yes.
And Reverend Howard, this was a dream of yours at Siloam Hope Presbyterian Church with others. Tell us a little bit about the project, first of all.
Okay, first let me get all of my support help out of the way because I want to make sure that I give credit to who it's due. And I would like to thank the following dignitaries, department heads, and banking institutions for really bringing this together and making it a reality. I would like to thank you, Mayor, because you've been very instrumental in this from the beginning. The Councilwoman at Large, Patricia Augusta Perkins, and our Councilman, Danny Grover, and our Councilman at Large, Frank Cuesta, and also our Fifth Ward Councilman, Bill Gallman. Union County Manager, Al Fiala, the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Jim Heim, Department of Parks and Recreation, and also the City of Elizabeth, Department of Planning and Community Development, the Director, Arwado Rodriguez, and Assistant Director Susan Ucci, EDC, Bill O'Day, and also Fatima, and our Connect One Bank, who been financing this, CEO Frank Cementino, the Vice President Christopher Liccardo, and also the Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer Elizabeth McGuinness, and our community organizations, NPRO, the Neighborhood Preservation Residential Organization, of which Troy Hudson is the Vice President, and also the entire Cary Head community and Siloam Hope Presbyterian Church. I just wanted to give them a thanks because without them, there wouldn't have been a dream, and I wouldn't have been one of the ones trying to make the dream a reality. So I wanted to thank them.
So Armando, you've been the developer on this project. Tell us about what the project is.
Well, the project is a mixed-use project with the first level being that structure that is going to house Elizabeth City's first African American Cultural and Learning Center, which Reverend Howard is the head of, and we have 20 affordable units up top. One of the levels is going to be for active adults, 55 and older, and the other level is going to be multi-generational. All apartments are 50% area median income or less. We're really trying to help the affordable housing.
Tell us about some of the difficulties in this journey.
Well, I think the hardest part of it, Mayor, is there was an intricate organizational collaboration and funding process through this. So there's multiple collaborating parties, just to name a few. We have 2 banks, 2 nonprofits, city government, county government, real estate development company, a general contractor, 2 architects, 4 law departments, a land surveyor, 2 engineering firms. So the list goes on. And to get all these people to do everything at the right time, everything has to get planned. So I think that was a tough part. And also,
When you name all those groups, that's a challenge.
it really is, Mayor. And it, you know, even myself writing this today, don't realize how many people are really involved. Just at the city level is quite a few people and quite a few departments. So you know, this project is a reality because of the collaboration.
So Wayne, how did Local 55 get involved? You're the president of Local 55 Laborers, and how did you get involved?
So we were approached several years ago by Pastor Howard, Armando, and Councilwoman at Large Pat Perkins Auguste about a project, and them wanting to partner, and they wanted to make sure that Elizabeth residents had an opportunity to work where they live, and they had a real chance at a career. And so I guess all of the unions were looked at, and I guess we best fit what the community of Elizabeth needed at the time. So we were happy to get involved. We were happy to train folks from Elizabeth because that's what we do. We focus on folks.
So you were doing job training on this site as well as getting some members to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very important. A lot of times what happens is you see these beautiful edifices going up, beautiful buildings go up, but the community don't really benefit in terms of economically. So how do we ensure that local residents get an opportunity to work where they live so they can spend money where they live, so they can help with the economy and be able to pay their rent and move past that. So we look for career opportunities, not just folks who are looking for jobs. If you're looking for a career, Local 55 is looking for you.
So Reverend Howard, you mentioned the community early on in the process that helped this dream become a reality. Is the community still involved, and to what level?
Yes, they are. I know we have NPRO meetings every Thursday. They've been giving input of what they wanted to see there, and during the process, some of it has changed. And so we have to go back to the drawing board.
Talk about some of those changes, Reverend Howard.
Well, the first change was that they were looking for a community center, almost like the Mickey Walker Center, you know, basketball and on that type of center. But through discussions with other people in the community, yourself, there has never been an African American cultural and learning center. I've played sports, and I know how hard it is to break into professional sports. And what I wanted to see done is a community be built strong through education, through skills, through giving back to the community. And so it evolved into an African American cultural and learning center where we'll have 4 programs that will help instill these positive, not only characteristics of a community, but skills in individuals.
So I'm going to come back to you because I want to hear about some of those programs, those 4 programs you talked about. But first, Armando, you grew up in the city of Elizabeth.
Yes.
And so you've seen structures, and while you're the developer, what impact do you think new housing and things like this will happen in a neighborhood? How does it impact the community?
Well, if you take this particular site, for instance, it makes a significant impact. If you remember 6, 7 years ago, it might be 8 years ago now, there was an apartment building there. It burned to the ground, and it's been vacant ever since. And adjacent to this were the row houses that were also burnt up. Well, since then, there's a total transformation and new energy, so to speak, in the community because they really look dilapidated. And when things, when buildings look dilapidated, doors are left open, and there's things going on. And when you close those doors and you put families in there, that's better than any police presence or anything, as the families are making the neighborhood better. That neighborhood has significantly changed over the past 3.5 to 4 years for the better.
So Wayne, your work in neighborhoods is important. Do you bring this back, and do you try to do this in other areas that Local 55 represents?
We actually represent folks throughout the whole state of New Jersey. We're fortunate. We're small local, but we represent folks throughout the state of Delaware, the 5 boroughs, and Long Island. And so we've done trainings from one end of the state to the other end to give folks in the urban communities an opportunity at a career in construction. So it's very important. We work with many mayors throughout the state, and Mayor of Newark, Irvington, East Orange, Orange. We work with a lot of various municipalities to ensure that folks get an opportunity, because the number one thing that everybody talks about is what? The economy and employment issues. So we want to partner, and we partner with whoever wants to partner with us so that we can start to address those issues.
So Reverend Howard, tell us about some of these programs that are going on. You mentioned 4 areas in the African American Cultural Educational Facility. What do you like to see happen?
We have a multimedia program that has been already going on for 4 years, that has been housed at our church, Salome Hope, that will be moving across to the new African American Cultural Learning Center, which teaches the kids how to do interviews, how to do filming, how to do what's being done here today, taping, editing, and giving them skills that they can carry on in life. I always say I want them to be behind the camera and not in front of the camera. We also have job readiness classes that we want to qualify folk with and work with other city employment agencies and job opportunities that may be given through ShopRite, other hotels. We want jobs, though, that are unionized and pay a living wage. So we're trying to connect to companies that pay living wages. We're also going to have culinary arts. And it's not just to teach someone how to get a job at a big hotel or a restaurant cooking food, but to give them life skills and knowing how to buy food, how long they can keep food, how to identify bad food. And because most of in our community, we have a lot kids now, diabetes, high blood pressure, besides the adults and other seniors. And we want to teach them how to eat healthy. So that's what the culinary arts is going to consist of. And then we're going to have theater arts. A lot of our kids and even adults are gifted and artistic. And we want them to create their own theater plays and skits, and then to help them enhance their writing skills. So even in school, when they have to take English literature, English lit, and to do writing, this will give them a foundation on how to write and how to structure sentences and paragraphs. So they enhance the skills of the people in our community to make our community safer, to make it more inviting to outsiders, and to where the community will have a legacy that they will have in their community for years to come.
Reverend Howard and Armando and Mr. Richardson, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show this evening. I look forward to cutting the ribbon, and I thank you for a great development project as well. As Armando, as a developer, you did a great job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
So for Wayne, Armando, and Reverend Howard, please stay with us after these messages, where I'll be joined by the new Policy and Planning Director for the City of Elizabeth, Director Eduardo Rodriguez. For our city, for the second half of this show, I'm pleased to be joined by Eduardo Rodriguez, who is the new Director of Policy and Planning in the City of Elizabeth. Director Rodriguez, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for having me.
So you've been the director since
April 1st. now.
April 1st.
Yes.
Is when you started. And you come from a background of law. Tell us a little about yourself, first
Yes.
of all.
I'm married to my beautiful wife, Linda. I have 2 kids, Eddie, 2 years old, and Joey, 6 months old. I come from a private background. My experience, I have an MBA from NYU and a JD from Rutgers. I did a lot of work in insurance, international work in Spain, and for the last 3 years, I clerked for a judge in Passaic County and was a contract consultant / attorney for JP Morgan Chase foreclosure.
So you've been working in the foreclosure fields from the private sector So you were able to use that knowledge in dealing with some issues here in the local government.
Yes, I am. Yes, I was there for about 18 months in dealing with the actual attorneys, outside counsels, trying to negotiate with the homeowners that were being actually foreclosed.
So how do you find working for the government compared to working in the private industry?
It's very, very different. I think a huge, huge positive is really I see the impact that I have in the actual city that I grew up in terms of the different areas actually that I cover. So in terms of that, I think it's a much different and much better benefit than I had in the private sector actually.
And since April, and you talk about your previous job and you talk about this job, what projects have you been concentrating on in the city of Elizabeth since April?
In terms of administrative, I did some actually scanning the construction department, had a lot of plans, so we were actually able to get a third party to come in, scan those contracts and open up a good amount of office space up there. From a development standpoint, it's actually very, very exciting. Midtown redevelopment looks like we're coming to a close there to start actually construction. I was able to, I inherited the Trumbull Street redevelopment agreement, and that we have an executed copy of the contract. And from a new point, we're working on South 2nd Street now in the actual first ward, demolishing the pre-existing building on there, doing some environmental cleanup, and then hopefully designated that as a redevelopment site.
So Eduardo, when you chose to leave J.P. Morgan Chase to the city of Elizabeth, what was the thought process about leaving private industry to come work for government that, could always be short term too, as you know?
That's very true. I'm very lucky I'm here with the mayor that's been here 22 years, and hopefully I can cross my fingers for another 22. It was really, like I said, it was from a standpoint, I was over with the private sector in terms of going after actually billing by hours. I really wanted to do something more, something different, especially now that I had kids. I really wanted to come home and not feel awful or not feel okay, really feeling good that I'm actually making a change, having my thoughts impact out there in the public.
You talked about the Midtown redevelopment project, and we
Yes.
struggled with that as a city. It goes back to the days of Mayor Tom Dunn and the announcement in the 80s. I know I was on a city council, and because of the infrastructure and a whole host of issues. But now we have a development firm out of Boston and New York called the Leventhal family. And what is your initial reaction in dealing with these folks?
I was very, very impressed. In my prior life, again, I worked with a lot of contractors, bonding them, and from the perspective, I did a lot of research on them. They are a substantial firm. They've been developing since the Leventhal, not their grandfather, since the Great Depression time. So there really is a lot of substance there. A worry was, again, since they're not from New Jersey, not from the city, that they wouldn't understand the local flavor of the city. But I think it's great that they teamed up with Moss and Sal Garcia, who I think provides that local expertise. So I think we're on very strong footing here.
And the project in the port that went nowhere on South 2nd Street, the supermarket, it may get back on track as we're working with NJRA.
That's correct. And right, we're right now have 2 proposals in, and we're working with the NJRA to hopefully have that started soon.
Now, one of the things you talked about was the scanning information up in the construction department,
Yes.
but you're also working on trying to make sure all of those forms, one of the areas we really haven't computerized is the construction department. We think it can be more accessible to the general public, and tell us what you're doing up there.
Yes, the ultimate goal, again, it takes a bit of time. That's one extra difference between the private and public sector, the whole council process. But I do have a long-term goal there to basically have all the forms, historical and new applications online. And I'm working with data processing actually with that now. But the first step now is really getting all those forms online. And I think the next step will be to have people able to apply for permits through the online.
And that'll be much easier for developers and others who want to come in and do
Much
things.
easier, yes.
So, any other changes you'd like to see make in the department?
It's a change that I implemented. It was we now have one every month. We have for the different divisions, the 6 supervisors under me. We meet once a month so that we do communicate. There's a lot of, I think, lost opportunities there, and also a lot of communication with the health and the actual building inspectors also. So that's something that I've been opening up more, because I think the more everybody talks, I think the better that we are informed.
Yeah, and when government talks and gets together, it's probably more important than even private industry, because sometimes we're not out there on the same page, but you can bring all that together.
That's correct.
So what are the bureaus under your department? Talk to our viewers about exactly who reports to the Director of Policy and Planning.
Sure. I have the Office of Relocation, which is responsible for relocating displaced tenants. The Construction Department, that's in charge of all the permitting and all the inspections. So I have Planning and Zoning. I have Elizabeth Home Improvement, which does a lot of work with low and moderate income housing and a lot of developers. Community Development Block Grant, which I knew nothing about this program prior to coming to the public sector, and basically where we fund local nonprofits to really make a very high impact in the actual city. And Bureau of Cultural Affairs also.
Now, the Community Development Block Grant Fund is very paper-orientated, as well as making sure forms are filled out correctly. But since you've gotten involved, the need in the community for that type of funding is tantamount to success for some social service agencies. Talk about some of the agencies that maybe have gone through the process that you've worked with so far.
Well, right now we are working, there's different projects there. We do a lot of, Streetlight Mission is a huge project now that we're going to be working on. They're rehabbing a church on Westminster Avenue, where it's a re-entry program with individuals with troubled past that they're looking basically to coach them and make them be able to work in different industries there. That was one. We also do a lot with Proceed. We do things with the Shalom Hope Project, which is a big one that hopefully will be closing actually
That was a
very
segment
soon.
of the first half of the show.
Yes, that's correct. That I had money from Elizabeth Home Improvement and also the Community Development Block Grant. And there's also various smaller different, trying to think, Institute Art of Music and various other nonprofits in the city where we go anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000.
And the Elizabeth Home Improvement Program, they deal with the foreclosures and trying to keep people in their homes. It's a little bit of flip side of what you're doing with J.P. Morgan Chase.
That's correct. But I think it gives me the opportunity to basically go from this side here, knowing what the other side will be looking for, what their tactics are also. So I think that's a big benefit here.
And you've also instituted some ability to go after some of the banks who have not paid their fees, and that's an ongoing process. Tell us about that.
Yes, actually, that's correct. There's an ordinance on the books for registering foreclosing properties. That in the past, I guess, in terms of documenting all that actual paperwork, it's been extremely difficult. It's anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 annual actual registrants. So we're looking now, I've spearheaded an RFP to hire a third party to come in and actually manage that whole process to make it a lot more efficient and free a lot of man hours in that department.
And Director, in the Policy and Planning Department, when it comes to new and creative ideas, that's also difficult, yet you're working on areas to help develop some creativity.
I am, in terms of that, it is. I think also I did something with relocation, where we're now pursuing the actual landlords that put them in the illegal homes. My legal background helped. I drafted the ordinance, and we're now actually pursuing, I believe, 10 actually landlords for a total of $25,000 there. I'm trying to think also the RFP process for the third party for the foreclosures has been a big thing also. And, you know, again, I'm open to different things.
So how about scanning the construction documents you mentioned earlier on in the show? Exactly what did that do as far as opening up space, and where are those documents now? Are they maintained online? They're maintained in a database?
Yes, I think I don't think our fire director would have come into the construction department with all the paper around it. I don't know if we would have passed the actual fire inspection. They're stored offsite on a cloud, and through a state agency in Trenton, we can destroy all those documents because the third party produces, I think, a microfiche tape. So those documents are actually offsite and they're done. So we actually have a lot more space there. We plan on putting permits on there also, and all the things from planning and zoning, which makes open requests much, much easier. And also, it'll be cataloged by property. So you can go online and check everything that's been done on that one property. So it really will free up a lot of man hours.
Director, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show, and I wish you good luck as the new Director of Policy and Planning, and look forward to working with you for the betterment of our citizens.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity.
For Director Eduardo Rodriguez, as well as Mr. Wayne Richardson, who was on the first segment, Mr. Armando D'Erico, and the Reverend John Howard, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.
offering everything you could want from college, including a life. Kane University.